Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Reawaken Your Brilliance, and welcome to new listeners out there. So my thought for this evening is based on something that happened to me this past week. I'm working on a big project, and someone criticized in a rather mean way one little part that I had done. And I, of course, had that knee-jerk reaction, and I wanted to send out an email immediately, and I didn't, which was good. And like most people, I said, oh, I'm going to post on Facebook. And I wrote, just because I don't have a PhD, I'm not a dumbass. And so luckily, I have really funny friends who made some things, it just made me laugh, made me take a step back, be like, okay, seriously, why are you getting upset here? Because it's really obvious that this person is trying to make you feel inferior so that they can feel superior. Now, we all get in those situations, and it's kind of tough to take that step back. So I was able to calm down and say, okay, this really isn't about you. But what I did do is I said to the person, I was working with a group of people, we are here to do the best project possible, and I want everyone's feedback, and I'm willing to accept and put whatever's best for the project in the grant, but I won't accept people treating me in an unprofessional manner. In the past, I would get angry about things and just stew on them and stuff them down. But I was able to find that balance of realizing, okay, hey, it's not about you, but still putting up a boundary and saying, this is unacceptable behavior, and I'm not going to allow you to treat me that way. So the situation ended up working out really well. We're still really all working on the project, and it's good. But I'm just going to remind you, if someone's annoying you or really pushing your buttons, take a step back and remember that it's probably not about you. But at the same time, depending on what the situation is, make sure that you have good boundaries. And if you need to express something, go ahead and do that. So, all right, everyone, we're going to tell you about tonight's guest. Sarah Brune is originally from England. During her youth, she traveled extensively in England, Europe, and Canada. After a sociology degree, she volunteered in remote parts of Canada, building and renovating houses in native communities. Sarah married and moved to Canada 18 years ago and lives in the Comox Valley, British Columbia, with her husband, 2 children, and 2 dogs. Her business, Inner Harmony Healing, was born in 2003 when she started learning and working with the Bach Flower Remedies. By 2005, she'd completed all 3 levels and became a Bach Foundation registered practitioner. In 2009, she self-published a book, Bach Flower Reflections. This year, she became a Level 1 educator for the Bach International Education Program. Sarah is passionate about her business and work. She finds it rewarding to see how well the remedies work for people and starts clients and students on their journey to self-healing one remedy at a time. Welcome, Sarah.
Hi.
We're so thrilled that you're here with us this evening. So why don't you tell us, how'd you end up getting involved with Bach Flower Remedies? What led you to this?
Well, I wanted to work with do natural healing, and I've been known about the remedies for a while, so I did some investigation, found school. So I took my first course in Vancouver in 2003, and then I did all the other courses and completed that in 2005, and not many other people were doing that, so I thought it was a good niche. And the remedies were a gentle system of healing, and I enjoy working with them.
Okay. Sorry, we're having a little bit of trouble with your Skype here. Hearing you. It's kind of coming in and out. Should we Skype voice? What do you think, Amnon?
Let's try. Let's just try. Keep going and see if it may straighten out by itself.
Okay. So tell us, what exactly are Bach Flower Remedies, and how are they made?
They're a system of healing. There are 38 different Bach Flower Remedies, and they each represent a different state of mind. So if you're feeling fearful or upset about something, there's these that can help you and heal you. And they were developed by Dr. Bach in the 1930s. He was a doctor and a homeopath and bacteriologist, and he wanted to find a system of healing based purely in nature, and have been around for over 70 years.
Sarah, it's not going to work. Your internet is losing a lot. I'm going to call you. I'm going to call you on the phone, and let's see.
Okay.
And let's see. Do you have a phone next to you?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see.
Greetings from Inner Harmony Healing.
Uh-oh.
Please leave your message, and Sarah will get
hello?
back to you.
Uh-oh.
at
It's the
the
wrong number.
Okay.
I got an answering machine. Oh, I know what I did.
That's
Okay.
it. Okay.
Hey everyone, thanks. But when you have an international guest, sometimes we have technical difficulties. But I want to remind everyone, if you do have a question for Sarah after we get into some discussion, you can call us at 919-518-9773. Or, of course, you can chat in a question and I will be able to ask her.
At this point, what you would need to do is you need to mute. Go ahead again to tools. And options and audio options, and turn the mic all the way down.
Okay.
Let's try it.
Yeah.
Nope, I still get an echo. Did you turn it all the way down?
Yes.
I'm still getting an echo. Do you hear us anywhere else but the turn off the mic and turn off the speaker? I'm sorry. Yeah, both of them. The speaker is above it.
Oh, okay.
Did you turn them both down? And
Yeah.
And both are unchecked?
Yes.
Okay, now it's good. Okay, keep going. But you're going to have to do it with a phone.
Okay.
Well, we're lucky Amnon's here to save the day and iron out any technical difficulties. So it was a little hard to hear you in the beginning. So tell us again, what are Bach Remedies and how they're made, and can you kind of tell us a little bit of history behind them?
Yeah, the Bach Flower Remedies were developed by Dr. Edward Bach in the 1930s because he wanted to find a system of healing based purely in nature, and each remedy represents a different state of mind. There are 38 in all, and they bring out the positive emotions that are already in you. And the remedies are for the emotions and not the physical, because Dr. Bach realized that when people are sick, people react in different ways, and he was more concerned about how people felt and then their particular illness.
And are they actually made from flowers?
Yes, they are. They're made from non-poisonous plants native to the British countryside. And they take the flower and they put it on a bowl of water, and it's actually energized in the sun. And it's the energized water that is the healing property. And for the woodier plants, they put them in a bowl of water and boil it for a few hours and then cool it outside. So it's basically energized water that they use for them.
Oh, okay. That's really interesting. So they have somewhere in the countryside in England have just where they plant all these flowers and then they make them in that one area?
Well, they're grown near the Bach Centre in England, and that's where they're just grown naturally in the Bach Centre garden and the surrounding areas as well. That's where they're taken from.
And so you said there were 38, is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
And so this was, and when did Dr. Bach do this? Was this in the 1800s, early 1900s?
Yeah, it was in the early 1900s, around 1920 to 1930s, that he was a medical doctor, and then he later became a homeopath, and then he wanted to find a system of healing based purely in nature, and then he developed his system of healing. It took him 19 years in all to complete the 38 remedies.
And so, since I'm assuming Dr. Bach is deceased at this point, or is he still alive, Dr. Bach?
No, he died in 1936 at the age of 50.
Oh, okay. So then so no one has tried to maybe go to different parts of the world and different climates and find different remedies?
Not his system is a complete system, but there are other different remedies like the bush flower remedies and the Pacific essences, but they all use his particular boiling and the sun method that he used.
Oh, okay. And so with these 38, you say it's a complete system. So meaning whatever ailment that you have, something within the system should be able to work on that.
That's correct. And you can combine the remedies up to 7 at a time. And if combined 7 remedies at a time, there are over 200 million different combinations. So that's why he said it was a complete system.
Got it. A quote that I found from Dr. Bach said, "Health depends on being in harmony with our souls." What did he mean by that?
He meant by that, when you're happy and happy with your life and everything's going fine, you tend to be healthy. But if something bad happens or you're knocked off course for some reason, then you tend to get sick. I know personally, if I ever get any particular ailment, there's usually a reason for it, and I try and find the remedy that will help heal myself.
So even with the common cold, because it's October now, it's going to be winter here in many parts of the country here in the U.S. and in Canada. So even a cold, would Dr. Bach have said, hey, this is related to something, it's really not about the cold?
Usually if you are feeling a bit under the weather, you tend to become sick, but it doesn't prevent you from getting a cold per se. It just helps you to feel less irritated or by the cold, and it will probably help you to get better a bit quicker. They don't cure physical ailments, but they help you to stay healthier if everything's going right in your world at that particular time.
So it doesn't focus on physical, it's all focused on the emotional.
That's correct,
okay.
Yeah.
And how do they work?
They work subtly, and if you, let's say, feeling depressed or fearful, you take let's say if you're fearful of a known thing, like you're fearful of, let's say, public speaking, for instance, you take a remedy called Mimulus, and it helps to help you to become more confident and fearless, and then you can get on with whatever you have to do at that particular time.
Oh, I needed that about a year ago. I used to be deathly afraid of public speaking. I could not stand up for 30 seconds and say my name and the name of my business. So darn, I needed that about 18 months ago, but that's fascinating. Tell us more.
And then what they do, they work very subtly, and they bring out the positive emotions and gradually restore equilibrium. And it's not like a magic bullet or anything. It just helps to put you back on track as much as when you need it.
And so they come in, I don't know if you have one, I should have asked you to show, but they come in little bottles with like a dropper. Good, you were thinking ahead.
Show it up. I don't know if you'll be able to see it in a few minutes. A little bottle, you see them at health food stores.
They are, and then here locally, I've seen them in Whole Foods, and then we have Harmony Farms, but Whole Foods, I know most people have a Whole Foods in their area, but that's one place they carry them. So how do you put it on your tongue? Do you dilute it in water? How would someone take it?
Well, if you have a passing mood, let's say, if you're fearful, you simply take 2 drops. You can take it directly into the mouth, or you can add it 2 drops to a beverage of your choice and take it as and when you feel the need. And if you have lots of different things, like if you're feeling depressed and fearful and need more confidence, you can mix the remedies in a larger bottle, 2 drops of up to 7 remedies, and you add spring water to that, and then you can take it over a few weeks and then see how you feel at the end of that particular time.
Do they have a placebo effect?
I don't think so. They work on pets just as well, and they work on plants as well, so I'd say not.
Now that's interesting. Pets. So how would you ask questions, because a pet can't speak, and so how would you figure out what the best flower remedy for them would be?
Well, recently we had, I used my own pet for an example, we had an earthquake a little further away from us, and the dog became very anxious.
Mm.
So I gave him some remedies for unknown fears called Aspen, and I gave him remedies for confidence and rescue remedy, and that helped to calm him down. You've just got to figure out, as you say you can't speak to your pet, you've got to figure out it's trial and error for pets. But it works just as well, and my dog, he doesn't mind just spray some on my hand and just likes to lick it off. So you can add it. Yeah, you can add it to water and pet foods, etc. as well.
Talk to me about Rescue Remedy, because that's, I think, a great product. When I lived in Los Angeles, I always carried a bottle with me. So talk to people and explain what that is and how that works. And they actually, I know, have different forms now. They have little, not quite candies that you can eat, but the little, I guess, pastules, what do they call them?
Yeah, pastils, yeah. It comes in the form of drops, spray, or these new pastils, and I do believe you can even buy it in gum now. And it's made up of 5 different remedies. One for if you're fearful, that's called Rock Rose. If you're feeling impatient, there's a remedy for that. If you're fear of losing control, and for shock and trauma. So it's a mix of 5 remedies for emergency or stressful situations.
I know.
And then,
when I got in a car accident, I got in a couple car accidents when I was in Los Angeles. So it was something I always kept in my purse. I mean, it definitely really, when you're extremely stressed out, I don't know what it does or how it works, but it definitely, at least for me, calms you down.
Yeah, it works pretty much immediately. And it gets you, let's say, if you hurt yourself and you take Rescue Remedy, you can get to medical attention feeling a lot calmer than you would otherwise.
And then they also have in a cream, don't they?
That's correct. The cream has the same 5 remedies as Rescue Remedy, plus one called Crab Apple for cleansing. So if you, let's say, shut your finger in a door and you put the rescue cream on as soon as possible, you will not get a bruise.
Ah, okay. That's good to know. I want to remind everyone, if you have a question for Sarah, you can call us at 919-518-9773 or chat, and I will ask your question for you. So how long do the remedies usually keep for?
In the stock bottle that you buy in a health food store, there's usually expiry date of up to 5 years, and that's for the inactive ingredient, the 27% grape alcohol, and also the rubber top tends to go off after a period of time, but the actual energized water lasts for much longer than that. So it's best just to check the taste and if there's sediment, otherwise it should be fine to use for personal use.
And how do you find what the right, because if I remember correctly, you said you have to get to the root cause, and so that's usually what you would use to determine which of the 38 remedies that you should take. So how do you find the root cause, or if someone were to have a consultation with you, how do you go about finding what that is?
Well, you firstly ask the client how they're feeling at that particular moment in time, because you deal with how you're feeling. And then you go through once they've told me what's going on, I come up with a list of suggested remedies, and we go through the indications together. And then it's up to the client which remedies they would like to take at that particular time. And then they say that it's like the emotional layers are like the layers of an onion. You deal with how you feel right now, and the remedies help to shed these emotional layers, and eventually you will get to the root cause of your troubles.
And so you ask at the present moment, like right now, how are you feeling? How are you feeling
today, not how you felt yesterday or how you think you feel tomorrow, but at that particular time.
So then would you be able to work with someone? What if someone was working on overcoming something from the past that would happen? How would they do that?
One remedy in particular is called Star of Bethlehem, and that's for shock or trauma, that for timeless shock or trauma, so that would be a very good remedy to start out with. And again, you would ask them how they feel at the particular time and try and pick out the remedies that are suitable for them. But it might take a while before the remedies start to work by taking a mix and then reviewing the situation every month or so.
And so can someone, if they're just looking and go to Whole Foods, can they pick the wrong remedy? And if they do, could that harm them?
There's no wrong remedy. They can just take that remedy, and if it's not needed, it simply won't work. So you can't pick the wrong remedy.
Okay, that's good to know. So are there any side effects?
No side effects as such, but you might bring up some emotional side effects, or somebody might be dreaming about things, trying to work things out. It's just like stirring up a muddy pool of water. You might be crying more, that kind of thing, possibly, but it's not always the case.
But if it did happen, then like you're saying, to work something out would be a good thing. Or for instance, if you had a lot of anger, would that be good to have the anger come up and then release it? Possibly,
yes. If the person, but it depends on the person and how much they need the remedies too.
And then how long? You said earlier that you can put it straight under your tongue, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
Or mix it if you want to put it with water or juice and add the drops that way.
Yeah, it's not affected by taste, heat or flavor, so you can add it to any beverage of your choice, and you can't overdose on it, which is nice.
And how long do you usually recommend that people take remedies for?
Well, for passing moods as and when you need them, or if you come for a consultation or have a remedy mix taken up, it's best to take it for 3 to 4 weeks until it's completed, and then you can review the situation.
And then, so for instance, if someone was going to do a consultation with you, would you ask just detailed questions, or?
I just ask them how they're feeling, and then they usually elaborate themselves, or I can ask them, how did that make you feel, that kind of thing, and it usually lasts approximately an hour, by which time we've gone over the various remedies, and at the end of the day, they pick out the ones that they feel are suitable for them at that particular time.
I'd like to go in depth now. One of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the show is when I Googled Bach Flower Remedies and was looking at people that did this, I saw on your website that you use the remedies to treat clients with trauma, fear, other troubling emotions. So I would really be interested. You said that they don't work on physical ailments, but what kind of mental and emotional ailments do they treat? And I would love it if you could give us a couple of examples in ways you've treated clients.
Right. They treat, let's say, depression, and there's quite a lot of people who have trouble with depression these days. It can be the type of depression that comes out of nowhere, or it can be a deep, gloomy depression, and the remedies help you to work through that. And there are remedies for fear, if you known fear and unknown fear, and fear for loved ones. And then if you're feeling lonely, the remedies can help you with that. And any sort of situation, a negative situation, they can come to your aid, like Larch for confidence is very good for children going to school, and remedies can help to protect you from outside negative influences as well.
Oh, really? So talk a little bit more about that.
There's one remedy called walnut, and that is the protector. It can help you adapt to changes, like physical change, or if you're moving, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
And then it can help protect you from negative influences from other people as well. I use that one particular one, and it's good for the changing seasons as well.
So when you say negative influence, just mean if you were around a negative person, or how do you mean, or if maybe you had a very critical person who you worked with, or maybe someone in your life? Is that kind of what you mean for negative influences?
Yes, that kind of thing. Or the school bully, for instance, that can protect you from. And then there are other remedies. If you're always agreeing and helping people and saying yes, there are remedies that can also help you be a bit more assertive and not always be the yes doer person as well.
I needed that about 10 years ago, but I've worked through that now, so that's good.
Yeah. And there are decision-making remedies if you can't decide between two particular items of clothing or which direction to go in. The Scleranthus remedy can help with that as well.
Oh, that's really great. And then, so you had mentioned earlier also that you, if I remember correctly, so then you would you make like a special mix for someone if they were dealing with a couple different things? Would you mix them together, or you just recommend getting 7 of them?
Well, it's up to the client. It's their choice. I said you can go to the health food and buy which ones you think you may need, or alternatively, I could make a mix of between 1 and 7 remedies, and from that they can take that for a few weeks and then review the situation. So at the end of the day, it's their choice how they want to go about it. And quite often the rescue remedy is a good remedy to start with if they're always feeling stressed.
And so I lost my train of thought. Sorry about that. So it really doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you take all 7 separately or if you create a mixture that they can use. Really no difference?
That's correct. It's just a bit more economical if you mix the remedies up as well. So you don't have to take them straight. Before I went on any courses, that's what I used to do. I used to go to the health food store and mix up a particular just take them straight. But then I discovered after doing a course that you could actually mix them.
So tell me a little bit about the training that you've done and what you needed to do to get certified, because one thing that's very important to me is I want people to know, because anyone can say, oh, I'm a Bach remedy practitioner. So what is it that they need to look for if what kind of training, what kind of certification, how does that work?
Most of the training is done through the Bach Center in the United Kingdom. And then in North America, for instance, it's the Bach International Education Program. And they authorize through Nelson's and the Bach Center 3 levels. The first level is a weekend program where you learn the indications of all the 38 remedies and how to take them and how to help other people. That is the most popular one. And if you go to a website called bachflowereducation.com, there is a calendar of which courses are available in North America. And then the second level is more detailed, the similarities between the remedies, and you learn how to do consultations. And then the final level is 3.5 days where you do exams and casework and learn how to do consultations also. So then you register with the Bach Center and become a Bach Foundation registered practitioner.
And then you just recently became certified to teach level 1, correct?
Yeah, I'm an educator for the first level, and I do that in British Columbia and Western Canada. And you can also do online courses as well, or correspondence courses for the first level.
Well, when I Googled it, there don't seem like there are a lot of you out there.
What was that, sorry?
That when I Googled about Bach Flower Remedies, there didn't seem to be a lot of you that were certified and doing that.
No, there are only actually 3 teachers in Canada and probably a dozen in the States.
Wow.
Approximately. So there aren't very many of us around. And I just started teaching it this year as well, so I've done about 4 so far.
That's wonderful. I want to remind everyone, if you have a question for Sarah, you can call in at 919-518-9773, or you can chat a question, and I would be happy to ask her for you. So what, can you give an example, for maybe not rescue remedy, because we've talked about that a little bit, but maybe a particularly challenging time in your life since you started using the remedies, and talk a little bit about that, and then what remedy you used and how that helped you?
I think one challenging time when my husband was studying and he kept failing his exams, which was quite a difficult time. So I took remedies for disappointment and walnuts to protect me from those difficult times, and they helped me get through it. And also when I emigrated to Canada 18 years ago, it suddenly hit me on my honeymoon, all the different changes I had to go through, like learning to drive and having a house. So I didn't start with the remedies immediately, but when I did, I figured out which remedies I needed to help me get through that, like Larch for confidence, and ones like Mimulus for fear. And I just sort of mix and match the remedies that I need throughout a particular day, and they help me get through it.
Mm-hmm. What, so I want to talk earlier, because when we had the Skype issues at the beginning. So how did you come to find the Bach Flower Remedies, and why did you decide to study them and now teach them?
When the children started school, I did some soul searching and went on a course at a local job shop, and I knew I wanted to have my own business and to be in the healing arts, and I'd been using the remedies, dabbling with them a little bit before then, and then I discovered a course was coming up the next month in Vancouver, so I took that course, the first level, and enjoyed what I'd learned, and subsequently did the other two courses and started up my own business doing consultations. And then later on, I now have a website called bachflowerscanada.com, and I have an online store selling rescue remedy. And then I decided I wanted to teach the remedies, so I applied for the course, which unfortunately was cancelled 2 weeks prior to doing that. So, of course, I had to take some remedies to get over the shock for that. And then I decided to actually write a book about the remedies, so that way I could get the word out there. And a year or two later, my book, Bach Flower Reflections, I self-published. And the day that book came back from the printers, another teaching course actually came up. So then I took that, and now I've started the teaching. So it's been a long journey for me, but I do it all by baby steps and a little bit at a time. And I belong to a home-based business association locally and have very supportive friends, which is very helpful.
Now, since you self-published the book, where is that available?
It's available on my website, bachflowerscanada.com, and it's also available on a website in the States called bachflower.com as well. You can buy it through the States as well.
And can you tell us a little bit about the book? And so if someone was interested in purchasing us, a little bit more details about what...
Yep. I have questions and answers, how to use the remedies and how they're made, a section on rescue remedy, how and when to take that. There's a short pet section for people who have pets. And then I have a chart of the remedies and their indications. And I have case studies. So it takes you through people taking the remedies from up to a couple of months to a year and how things have changed for the better for them. And then I have scenarios and testimonials in my book. It's about 84 pages with some color pictures in there.
Do you know, you might not do this, but since you know other Bach practitioners, do they combine it with anything? Or is Bach, the flower remedies tend to be something, you know what, you only do these and don't combine it? Like, meaning, would someone also maybe combine it with Reiki or massage or something of that nature?
Yes, I personally don't. I just stick with the one modality, but very often people do Reiki or massage, or some people even do it with quite a few different modalities because it goes so well with them.
And go ahead.
Yeah, and you can. I personally just use the bark, but other people might use different remedies as well. But that's their choice.
I would be really curious if you could tell us about, for instance, one of the case studies that you did in your book. I'm really think that might help people to understand. If you could tell maybe a story about a patient and kind of what they were going through and what your process was when treating them.
Right. One client, I actually did. You have to do case studies for the final level, and I saw her over 3 to 4 months. And when she came to me, she was very depressed. She didn't go to school. She didn't like to get out of bed. And her hair was dyed black, and she wore black clothes and dark makeup. And she'd just basically given up. But over the time, she gradually became a bit more happy and lively, like she was very good at sewing. So eventually she ended up making her own clothes and made out of nice bright colors and making cushions, etc. And she actually decided to move away from her family, go to a town a little bit further away, and I sort of lost contact with her, but I'm assuming that she got a job and it got her out of her shell. But this didn't happen immediately. Suddenly, like one consultation, she was very depressed, and a few weeks later she was a completely different person. So it was very interesting to see her at the end, and she sort of had a sort of glimmer of hope, and her eyes were all sparkly, and she seemed to me as though she was a different person.
And so it also enabled her to make decisions, because you talked about how she moved away from her family, and it sounded like that was something that in this particular case she needed to do.
Yes, there's one remedy called World Oat, and that helps you to decide what your true vocation is in life. And that one obviously worked very well for her.
And, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. I completely lost it. I think that was a really good example. Is there anything, for instance, because you said, I think it was Star of Bethlehem that you mentioned, that deals with trauma and deals with the past. So again, everything, when you ask all your questions in your consultation, it's all about how they feel at the moment. It doesn't matter whatever happened in the past, even if that's the root cause of something.
Sometimes people mention the past, but it's how it's affecting them right now as well. So you would give them remedies to help them deal with how the trauma is affecting them, because it might be making them feel depressed, for instance. So you will give them remedies for that, what is tailor-made to how they're feeling. So you just deal with that and how they're feeling at that particular time, and it helps with the trauma eventually.
I'd like to ask anyone who's listening, Sarah, if you're up for it, if they are going through something, and maybe you can make some suggestions to them on what to take. You could either Skype in if you're going through something, and Sarah can offer some advice on that, or you can give us a call at 919-518-9773.
Sarah, I have a question.
Okay.
Why would somebody need to take any class if you can walk into a store and buy the bottle, and I guess it says on it what it's for? What do I learn in the class that more than you take this for that and that for this?
Right. When you go into the store, there's 38 bottles in front of you, and they've just got the name of the flower on them. And quite often you have no idea what that particular remedy represents. Like if you go into a store and see something that says white chestnut on it, you'd probably be none the wiser. So, but there might be a chart next to it, let's say white chestnut is for repetitive thoughts. But what you do when you go to a class is that you spend a whole day going through each individual remedy and then the negative and the positive indications and a bit about the plant as well. But there's no need to go to a class, or you could read books about it. It's personal choice. And it's usually people who want to work more closely with the remedies for personal reasons, or for if they want to combine it with different modalities as well.
Okay, that's a good answer.
And also, you don't. Before I did any classes, I didn't really know how to take the remedies. I didn't know how to mix them, or how and when to take them. Really, very much. It was just sort of guesswork.
So you just mentioned about each remedy having positive and negative qualities. Did I understand that correctly, or?
Yes, like how you feeling. Like if you, let's say, in mustard is for depression, so you're feeling very down and very dark and down, like there's a black cloud over you. But then you learn that the remedy, when it brings you into the positive, it actually helps lift the depression away gradually.
So you talked at how they take the flower and they let it sit in the sun, and then it's the energized water. Can you explain what exactly it does? So when you use these drops, then it's creating a change on, would you say, on an energetic level?
Yeah, it's energy medicine, so it's on the energetic level. Does actually sound very far-fetched, but it does subtly bring, you sort of feel a bit more positive. And if you, for confidence, you do feel more confidence when you have to stand up and do a presentation, or when you have to possibly do an exam or something. You can feel the positive effects of it.
Well, like I said, I love Rescue Remedy. I mean, I think that I know it works because I used it. So you touched on something. So if there's someone out there who is a skeptic, what would you say to them? Or if you're like, would you say, okay, that's fine, but would you recommend trying Rescue Remedy? Or is there something that maybe you could say to them, if you're open, try this and see how it works?
Yeah, I think they'd have to try it. I mean, some people might not work for them because they've totally got a closed mind for it. But basically, they have to try it out for themselves. And I admit it does sound rather far-fetched, the whole idea of it. My son, for instance, is a bit of a skeptic, but I think he does that to wind me up a bit too sometimes.
But so do you think since Rescue Remedy, I would say, is fairly popular, and I think even if people don't know of Bach flowers, they've heard of Rescue Remedy. So is that something that you would recommend that people could try if they're like, okay, this sounds a little out there, but it sounds kind of interesting and I would be willing to check it out?
Yeah, I think it's best to start with Rescue Remedy because it's the most easily available one, because quite often the health food stores don't sell the individual ones. So it's a good starter one just to get into using them.
Okay. Sarah, we have a really great question here on chat, so I'm going to read it to you.
Okay.
And it's from VG. I am pursuing my dreams and feel I am progressing, and out of the blue, I will begin to feel that I am unable to live up to what I believe I am supposed to do. So it's a feeling that I may not be as good as the image I have in my mind and heart. What can I take to help me with that? Great question.
I think one larch would be a good one to take for confidence.
And what was that?
Larch for confidence.
Larch, right, okay.
And then if they're a bit fearful about going out and doing something different, maybe mimulus for known fear, or aspen for unknown fear, and maybe walnut to protect them from the changes of what they have to do as well, possibly.
And so again, they could take that and, he says no fears at all.
Oh, okay. Well, you wouldn't need the ones for fear then. Just maybe confidence, something, the larch for confidence.
Oh, more for doubt. And I'm sorry, I have my contacts in, which don't read as well as my glasses, but I'm a little vain, so that's why I'm slow in reading it. So he says no fears at all, more doubt. So
Right.
is there something, so you mentioned large for confidence so he feels that I am unable to live up to what I believe I am supposed to do. So doubt, or these might not be as good as the image that he has in his mind and heart. So you'd mentioned, and so what would you do for more doubt? If someone has doubt, what would you recommend?
I can't. It's doubt.
Do we need to ask any more detailed questions about that?
Yeah, I can't think of one for doubt. Maybe are they doubting themselves about maybe wild oat or something to find the direction in their life, possibly?
No, I think that they are clear on the directions.
Right.
They know what they want. If they say, I'm pursuing my dreams and I feel progressing. So let me read that again. So they're pursuing their dreams, they're progressing, and then out of the blue, they'll begin to feel that they are unable. Okay, it's a big dream. So this person has this big vision, and then they're going, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, they'll begin to feel that they're unable to live up to what they believe. So maybe these expectations of this, thinking big, that they might not be as good as the image they have. So they think, oh, I've got this big dream. But then all of a sudden, even knowing that that's it's a big dream. Yeah, that's what.
Yes. Yeah, Serato's a good one for self-doubt. You and then it helps to sort of bring things, the confidence in knowing what you want to do. That might be a good one for them.
Okay, and they also said, I feel I've let people down in the past as to my talents.
Right, that would be pine for guilt, possibly, when you're feeling guilty about that.
Okay. But again, you would say also, however they're feeling at this moment. So if they were having that moment like, oh, everything's going along, I'm pursuing my dream, and all of a sudden, I don't know.
Yeah.
So you would encourage them to... in that moment, see how they were feeling. So, for instance, if they felt guilt over letting people down in the past, and you'd say, have some pine.
Yeah, or walnut to protect you from how the other people are perceiving you as well, possibly.
So, VG, let us know if you feel that answered your question. And so then, if people who use these on a regular basis, and I don't mean just you who are practicing, so do they tend to have maybe 10 or so bottles? And if they know, hey, sometimes I feel like that cloud comes over me and I become depressed, that they have some mustard on hand, and so they just kind of play with it and it will take what they're feeling that day?
Yeah, that's right. I personally have the full kit, and I do tend to take more or less the same ones all the time. It just depends. And for most people, they just have a little collection of the bottles at home and take them as and when they need them. And you can actually use the bottle you buy from the health food store up to 400 times. So once it's there, it will last a long time.
So, for instance, if someone was saying, like, for instance, our chatter VG said, oh, I feel guilt sometimes, guilt comes up for me, how long would it take? And again, I know with Rescue Remedy, it works pretty quickly. I know when I've been stressed out, it's calmed me down, but say for his guilt feeling, how long would it be before he would notice the easing of that?
It depends how deep-rooted it is. Sometimes you can feel the difference very quickly, and for other people it might take a day or up to a week. It's hard to tell exactly. I can't really give a time frame, but it works as quickly as it needs to work.
So, for instance, with your client that we talked about earlier, that dressed in black and was very depressed, it took her, 3 or 4 months before she was able to really be out of the depression and figure out what she needed to do to move forward in her life.
Yeah, because it got to a point where I thought nothing was happening, and then suddenly there was this big change. And then I had to follow up again as quickly as possible because I was afraid she was going to move away. So there was a big shift going on. And some people say they have decisive thoughts coming out of the blue from nowhere. So different people react in different ways to the remedies. One interesting thing with the level 1, after the first day, you actually have one remedy to take home with you, and you have to finish the mixing bottle overnight, and it's very interesting to see how that one remedy affects the people the next day.
So you've talked a little bit treating people with depression. Can you give other examples of what kind of people or situations would benefit from using the Bach Flower Remedies?
People who have trouble making decisions, like the scleranthus for decisions between two items or two directions. There is decision making, like life's path, if you have trouble doing that. There are ones for depression, ones sort of personality types, very strong people who are very domineering, and there are remedies for people who talk a lot, and it helps to calm them down a bit. That's called Heather. So whatever is going on, there's usually a remedy that can help with it. Or there's remedies like for being overwhelmed, for instance, that's called Elm.
So then, okay, sorry, go ahead. Well, I was going to think of an example for me, but I think you answered my question. I'm the type of person, if I get upset, you can't get me a candy bar fast enough. I would say that is I'm an emotional eater. And I've really tried, and I thought, well, how would you do that? But then when you mentioned overwhelmed, I know that probably my guess off the top of my head is well, maybe not quite 90%, but I know when I'm overwhelmed, that's one thing that will happen. Like doing the eating for that, but then also I've had my heart broken and been like, oh, have a pint of Ben and Jerry's. So there would obviously be a different remedy for that one.
Yeah, that's correct. And there are remedies to help break bad habits called chestnut bud too, if you're always making the same mistakes the whole time.
Ah, chestnut. I need to. It's too bad Whole
Chestnut
Foods
bud.
is chestnut. What would bark?
Bud, B-U-D.
Bud, chestnut bud. Okay, I need it.
That's correct. Yeah.
It's too bad Whole Foods is closed at 9 because I would be heading right out after this to buy some chestnut. But that's really fascinating. And the other, I'm curious about. My day job is a professional organizer, and I say organization is all about making decisions. So I would love to know what you recommend for that. I think I could have some clients that would benefit from who have trouble making decisions when it comes to letting go or getting things organized.
Yeah, the scleranthus one would help with the decision making, and if people don't like letting go, there's lots of different remedies that can help with that too. Or if you living in or dwelling in the past and really want to hold on to something, there's honeysuckle. And if they're fearful of letting go, the remedies will be able to help with that too, like mimulus for known fear or aspen for unknown fear, that kind of thing.
So I'm curious, back to again, is it whenever the feeling comes up? So if I was upset about something, and instead of reaching for a Reese's cup, it would be take the chestnut bud. Am I understanding that? Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you've got to be in the right mood to do that too. Like there's a remedy for procrastination called hornbeam. So if you take that, you actually do get quite a lot done.
Okay, all right.
And there's one olive for energy, and that helps you get things done as well. So that'd be good for people who don't want to clear their clutter as well.
Oh, that's good. I'm going to have to, you will be on my resource list to have people. I know it's definitely sometimes a lot easier having someone else tell you that, but I always like to be open to have different solutions for my clients. So a couple things I always like to ask. Someone out there, you talked earlier, these are challenging times. Someone out there might be in their pain, thinking, I'm never going to get out of this. It's never going to end. What advice would you say to them?
I think you've just got to believe in yourself and not let people knock you off course. There is light at the end of the tunnel, and there is a remedy that will be able to help you, and it's your journey to self-healing, one remedy at a time is my motto.
I love that, by the way. I think that's think that's really wonderful. And then before I forget, I want to touch briefly on, you had mentioned bullying, but you work with children too.
That's correct, yeah.
So can you give a couple examples of how you've used the Bach Flower Remedies to help kids? Because I think a lot of parents who are listening would find that very useful.
Yeah, the remedies work very well with children because they've got less emotional layers. And my daughter, for instance, when she goes back to school, she takes remedies for the change, so that be walnut, and larch for confidence. And when she's got lots of homework, for instance, she takes elm because she's feeling rather overwhelmed with that. And I think it helps to be able to talk to somebody about how you're feeling, and then they realize that they start to work straight away because you're actually dealing with what's going on in your life, and that's all part of the healing process.
Have you ever treated a family kind of as a unit? And I asked that because I'm thinking, for instance, that earthquake you mentioned earlier, and it was in your part of the country, but in Turkey. I mean, I can't even imagine. I mean, I lived in Los Angeles for 10 years, so I never experienced a huge one. I experienced a couple that made me go, wow. But if there was a situation where maybe a family had experienced a trauma, and if that's something you would do or treat.
Almost definitely. They'd all probably need a few of the same, and then you'd make up personal mixes for all of the family as well, depending on how they're feeling and how they've reacted to a disaster such as an earthquake.
And again, then the remedy would probably be, if I'm understanding correctly, would be based on the person, because we all deal with things differently. Someone might feel very overwhelmed, where someone might feel depressed from it, or have some other emotion.
Yeah, that's correct. You can't have a all-in-one mix for the whole family because everybody feels in different ways. The only remedy that's mixed of 5 is rescue remedy, and that's the only one. You can't make a mix-up for focus or if you're fearful, because people react to fear in different ways.
Absolutely. And so then that's, again, part of the process that you do to help figure out, okay, this is how you're reacting, and this is the flower remedy that we need to use for you. That's
correct, yes.
And so one thing that's really important to me is that people, after listening to the show, take a next step. So what one step can you tell our listeners that they can do right now, either tonight before they go to bed or in the morning, that they can do to reawaken their brilliance?
Just believe in yourself and that you can do it if you put your mind to it, and just don't let anybody else come in your way, because you've just got to take control of your own life, basically.
And you can help with that.
Yes.
So do you have any upcoming events or classes or anything? I don't know if you do online webinars that we can tell people about.
Next year I do actually want to start some tele classes or webinars, but next year I'm going to be teaching some of the level 1s in the British Columbia area, and of course my book is always available as well, but just stay tuned to my website or bachflowereducation.com, and all the classes available will be posted on their calendar.
And Sarah, if you can just mention your website again, or if people want to find more information or get a consultation with you, where can they find you?
It's Bach, B-A-C-H, flowerscanada.com.
And we have put that up in the chat, and we'll make sure that he's got it up already. I'm sorry, you can't see, but it's right under your picture.
Okay,
great. Can. Yeah. Sorry.
Or just Google Bach Flowers, and then my one usually comes up, and then put Canada as well.
It does. That's how I found you. And I was intrigued by her website and how she talked about how she treated people with trauma and children. And I just was fascinated by this and have learned so much tonight. And I want to thank you, Sarah. It's been really informative. And thanks for being the first international guest here on Reawaken Your Brilliance. We were really excited about that.
Okay, well, thanks very much.
And next week, we are going to learn about Chinese medicine. Namaste, everyone.